Hey folks, watch McConnell's best speech ever. Please do. Except that they won't play it. It takes a special... Watch it. Watch.
12 months ago, a newly inaugurated President Biden stood on the west front of the Capitol, and here's what he had to say. My whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, and uniting our nation. Yesterday, that very same man delivered a deliberately divisive speech that was designed to pull our country further apart. 12 months ago, this president said we should see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. Yesterday, he called millions of Americans his domestic enemies. 12 months ago, the president called on Americans to join forces, stop the shouting, lower the temperature. But yesterday, he shouted that if you disagree with him, you're George Wallace. George Wallace. If you don't pass the laws he wants, you're Bull Connor. And if you oppose giving Democrats untrammeled one-party control of the country, well, you're Jefferson Davis. 12 months ago, this president said disagreement must not lead to disunion. But yesterday he invoked the bloody disunion of the Civil War, to demonize Americans who disagree with him. He compared, listen to this, a bipartisan majority of senators to literal traitors. How profoundly unprecedented. Look, I've known, liked, and personally respected Joe Biden for many years. I did not recognize the man at the podium
Bull Connor, huh?
yesterday. American voters did not give President Biden a mandate for very much. He got a tied Senate, negative coattails in the House, the narrowest majorities in over a century. The president did not get a mandate to transform America or reshape society. But he did arguably get a mandate to do just one central thing that he campaigned on. Here's what that was. Bridge a divided country, lower the temperature, dial down the perpetual air of crisis in our politics. That is the one central promise that Joe Biden made. It is the one job citizens actually hired him to do. It is the one project that would have actually been consistent with the Congress the voters elected. But President Biden has chosen to fail his own test. The president's rant yesterday was incoherent, incorrect, and beneath his office. He used the phrase Jim Crow 2.0 to demagogue a law that makes the franchise more accessible than in his own state of Delaware. He blasted Georgia's procedures regarding local elections officials while pushing national legislation with almost identical language on that issue. The president implied things like widely popular voting ID laws to be, quote, listen to this, totalitarian?
Ku Klux Klan.
Totalitarian? Our Ironically, on the same day, the Washington, D.C.'s Democratic mayor told citizens to bring both a photo ID and a vaccine card anytime they leave the house. The president repeatedly invoked the January 6th riot, while himself using irresponsible, delegitimizing rhetoric that undermines our democracy. The sitting president of the United States compared American states to totalitarian states. He said our country will be an autocracy if he does not get his way. If he does not get his way. So the world saw our commander-in-chief propagandize against his own country to a degree that would have made Pravda blush. There was no consistent standard behind anything the president said. He trampled through some of the most sensitive and sacred parts of our nation's past. He invoked times when activists bled and when soldiers died, all to demagogue voting laws that are more expansive than what Democrats have on the books in his own home state. Georgia has more days of early voting than Delaware or New York. Georgia has no excuse absentee voting, which Delaware and New York do not have. If Georgia or Texas present Jim Crow emergencies, then so do a whole lot of Democratic-run states. The Senate Democratic leader is going on cable TV and saying Georgia is greatly restricting or eliminating early voting. It's a lie. Provably false. Georgia has more early voting than New York. The Democratic leader has tried to fearmonger about one rural Georgia county that condensed multiple voting locations into one rural Georgia county. Well, the county's overwhelmingly red. They were clearly not involved in trying to suppress Democratic votes. 70% Republican in that one county in 2020. So take a step back for a minute. President Biden's story is that democracy is on death's door. But he spent 9 months chasing a reckless taxing and spending spree before addressing it. Must not be that much of an emergency. Citizens are meant to believe a return of Jim Crow is on the table. But this was only President Biden's 6th priority after he was blocked from spending $5 trillion on windmills and welfare. Democrats' own behavior refutes their false hysteria. 12 months ago, the president said that politics need not be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path. That was just 12 months ago. But yesterday, he poured a giant can of gasoline on the fire. 12 months ago, the president said every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war. But yesterday, he said anyone who opposes smashing the Senate and letting Democrats rewrite election law is a domestic enemy, and listen to this, a traitor like Jefferson Davis. 1 week ago, President Biden gave a January 6th lecture about not stoking political violence. 1 week ago. Yesterday, with the world's largest megaphone, he invoked the literal civil war and said we're on the doorstep of autocracy. Talked about domestic enemies. Rhetoric unbecoming of a president of the United States. In less than a year, restoring the soul of America has become this: agree with me or you're a bigot. Agree with me or you're a bigot. From lowering the temperature to invoking totalitarian states and the Civil War. So this inflammatory rhetoric was not an attempt to persuade skeptical Democrat or Republican senators. This whole display, in fact, you could not invent a better advertisement for the legislative filibuster than a president abandoning rational persuasion for pure demagoguery. You could not invent a better advertisement for the legislative filibuster than what we've just seen: a president abandoning rational persuasion for pure demagoguery.
Well, that's certainly saying something, folks. And it's never been said before, so what I would say is that the filibuster is the protection of extremists, and the fact that they are all progressive makes you wonder, and you need to vote for Johnny Flynn. Sorry. I can't think of a more dangerous president than our current president. There's never been a president like this. And I always support the president until now. Until now, this very moment. Thank you very much. That speech, and even the rest, which I'm not going to share, I'm at 12 minutes. You must back us. You must. We need to raise a substantial amount of money. And wow. Today we spoke to the Nadler challenger. Okay? I've been speaking to the AOC challengers. I've been speaking to the Wasserman Schultz challenger. I've been speaking to the Kinzinger challenger for a year. The Maxine Waters challenger for more than a year. And I know that it's a 50-50 split in the Senate and that Kamala's the deciding vote, but we can't have this. We cannot have this. Not at this time. Our enemies think we're weak, and we are, and they're challenging us, and they keep challenging us. They're going to continue to challenge us. Why? It's obvious. Thank you. Have a great day. I appreciate it, and please, I'm begging you, help us help you. Thank you very much. There's nothing else to say. We're either going to fail or we're going to have a difficult time succeeding. Great. Thanks a lot. We've made a lot of progress. I hope you're following. Please continue to follow, and if you have no money, I get it. But we need to really vamp up to a grassroots connect with your friends type of campaign. Thank you. Bye.